Hello everybody. In this video, I'm going to be trying to make an in-depth guide for the support role. Now, I've been playing support ever since OG Paragon, so this guide is aimed at those just getting into the remakes. Specifically Predecessor. Obviously, this isn't going to work on every remake. I'm going to be talking about your main goals, your responsibilities, and how to accomplish and or fulfill these aspects of the role. That being said, let's get right into it. The support is there to be able to guide their carry and lead them through the early game so that they can snowball and dominate the rest of the game. In the early game, your goal is to keep your ADC alive while making plays for your ADC to get kills. Basically, what you want to be doing is when your ADC is about to die, don't be afraid to sacrifice your life for theirs. Think of it like this. You being stronger is less effective as the ADC being stronger. When your ADC is stronger, you make more damage and then you get more kills and then more plays, and thus you're able to be stronger than the enemy ADC and support. That is a big part of being a support. Not only do you not want to steal the kills of your ADC, even if you can get the last hit, don't. You want to restrain yourself. This also applies to minions. Don't ever steal your minions from your ADC. They need that gold. They need to be able to build and get stronger. You want to be creating a lot of plays. Basically, you want to be always looking for a way for your ADC to get stronger. Early on, think of hooking somebody with Richter, sorry, not steel, or stunning and then caging somebody with Decker, or shield bashing and stunning somebody as steel as well. Being able to make those plays and get those early kills is really what's going to make it so that you can snowball and dominate the rest of the game. Later on in the mid game, what you're going to want to be doing is being part of the team fights and being the main controlling factor of the team fights. Basically, what I mean by this is you want to focus your CC on the correct person. There's no point on focusing your CC on the tank that's just going to eat up all the damage that you can dish out to it. There's also no point on stunning the enemy support. I mean, okay, I'll take that back. Sometimes, obviously, all of this is very situational, so what I'm going to say. But typically, it's less effective to stun the enemy support when you could stun the enemy ADC that is going to do way more damage, and thus you stunning them is going to prevent your team from a lot more damage. Also, think of it like this. You want to be making sure that your team can do damage to the people who do the most damage quicker, or if you're not doing that, you want to be sure that the people who are doing the most damage that damage is minimized so that your team doesn't take as much damage. It's either one of those. I see this all the time with beginner supports. What they will do is they will just randomly dish out a stun to the mage that just got into the play, and they or the mage who's been doing terrible all game. Always keep a note of who's strong in the game and who's weak. Late game, this becomes even more important because late game, the people who were doing a decent amount of damage are most likely doing even more damage now. So knowing who to CC is very important. If you see that the enemy jungler is absolutely tearing your team, you either want to focus him first to get rid of him as quick as possible, or you want to CC him way out of the fight so that you can kill everybody else and then 3v1 him. Late game, this is extremely important. Target priority is a huge part of this game, especially as support, because as a support, you have some of the strongest CC in the game. Only maybe even slightly comparable by a mage, but your CC as a support is crazy important. So use it, learn who to target. This is different from each game. I could not tell you to, always target the ADC over somebody else, because if the enemy ADC is going 0 and 5, there's not much point. You have to get the game sense by just playing. Obviously, the best tip to get better is by just playing. However, what you need to learn from playing is that you want to stun or CC the person who is going to do the most damage. Learn who to target. That is the number one thing that is going to make you better. As a person who's been playing support ever since OG Paragon, after it clicked in my head that for example, I used to play Richter and I used to be terrible, and then as Richter, it clicked, as much as this is gonna sound very simple, that yes, I can hook the enemy Sevarog jungler who has 4,000 health. There's not much point when what I could do is just keep walking a little bit, and then hook the ADC who is squishy and is doing an incredible amount of damage. So basically, to sum this part up, basically early game, carry your carry. I know it sounds funny, but make sure your carry doesn't die and give him as many kills. Later on, you want to still be doing that, but also be keeping in mind to engage those team fights from like occasionally. And then late game, you want to always be in the team fights, being able to control the team fights, keeping in mind target priority. If you could remember one thing from the video, it'd be that learn who to target. Now, let's talk about the different types of supports. I'm going to be talking about the two main types of supports. You could classify some of them into more specific types of supports. However, for the simplicity of this, I'm going to be talking about the main supports, so no like off-meta crunch pick, although that is unironically somewhat viable. But for the simplicity, I'm going to be talking about the main supports, and I'm going to be classifying them as either a frontline or backline support. Firstly, let's talk about Decker and Mario. These are definitely backline supports. Both of these characters are rather squishy, and what you want to do as them is stay behind your ADC or behind your team, and from there react to the play around you and use your abilities in a way to enhance your teammates and enhance the play. You don't want to be, the front line. You want to be, let's take as an example Mario. For Mario, you want to be looking at who's losing health, reacting to the abilities of the enemies, reacting to where your teammates are, and then shielding or speed boosting your allies accordingly. As Decker, it's a bit different because Decker kind of does what a like frontline tank does, but from the backline. From the backline, she has a long range stunt which allows her to create plays from a distance, as well as a cage which allows her to isolate enemy players away from the play, and a drone which is typically just good as a way to do damage through walls. And I'm not too sure if it slows anymore. I haven't played Decker in a while, but I think it slows. Don't quote me on that, but like from what I remember, I think it slows. So yeah, she's a lot more CC oriented. So she does CC from a distance, and like we talked in the previous section, she chooses who to isolate, puts them away from the play, and thus makes the plays go more in your favor. Secondly, we have the frontline supports. This is our Steel and our Richters. These two are very important in staying in front of the carry and make sure they don't take damage. What you want to do as these two is, because they have a lot of health, you want to build your defense, you want to build your health, and you want to be able to absorb all the damage so that the rest of your team doesn't. As Richter, you also have your hook, which is a very important CC tool because it literally brings an opponent all the way from the backline in front of everybody for your team to attack. As Steel, you have your ult, you have your shield bash, and you have your stun, which, like Richter, allows you to go and get somebody from the backline and either stun them or knock them up towards the front line and thus put them under danger. Now, you might have noticed I haven't talked about Narbash. The reason being is that Narbash can be played kind of as both, weirdly, not really. I would say he's more of a backline support in the sense that you should play him as a staying in the back, healing your team, making sure, giving them that extra sustain. However, because of his stun and because of his healing and his mana regen, he is also able to just soak up a lot of damage. So for Narbash, it depends on how you build him. Typically for beginners especially, I would suggest to just play him as kind of in between, but more backline. Just focus on keeping your allies' health up and allies' mana up. That's your main goal as him. He's a little bit weirder than the others, and personally, as of right now, as of the making of this video, I don't really like him as a support. Also, I haven't talked about like Lieutenant Bellica because she's very popular in support. I will mention her, even though I said I wouldn't be talking about off meta picks. She's kind of like I really don't like her really as a support right now, even though she's kind of strong right now. But she's a backline support whose like main thing is taking away from the like kind of the opposite of Narbash. You why you're such a good support is because you're able to drain their mana, you're able to do this extra damage because she was kind of built as a mage. So for her, stay in the back line, steal their mana, and lower their health with constant pokes. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, we're still kind of getting our footing so far, so if you have any, you know, advice or comments, be sure to leave them down below. We read them all, so, you know, we're open to any criticism. Peace.